All right. Well, so exciting. It was great hearing from both our speakers. Thank you so much for all your questions. Now we are going to share with you, as I mentioned earlier, first of all, this is Matt Bush, who is the Ohio Federal Research Network Program Manager. And Matt and team have done extensive research, really looking at what are those opportunities out there that you may be interested in. And a lot of you, we sent out a survey and you gave us some directions. So based on that, Matt is going to go over the opportunities that we found that we think you'd be most interested in. So Matt, turn it over to you.
Yep. Thank you, Karen. And what great insights we gleaned from Dr. Lecky and Dr. Greg. Really, hopefully, we can all build on those and then find some additional opportunities. So keeping those insights in frame, I'll be providing a deeper dive into those opportunities that align with digital engineering, advanced manufacturing, and sensors and electronics. The black bumper sticker at the bottom of this slide provides the purpose of my briefing today. More succinctly, I want to provide you enough information to start your conversation that will follow this briefing and help you all build teams to go after larger funding opportunities. So please keep in mind throughout this brief that we want to hear from you on how to improve these events. So let us know after today what topics might be of more interest to you, or what you want more detail on. As a reminder, this brief will be recorded and the deck will be uploaded, including the 40 backup slides on this deck that are meant to help you and pique your interest for future events. Those will be posted on the ohiofrn.org website. Again, that's ohiofrn.org. All right, I'll move to the next slide. Okay, so here's what we'll be going over in the next hour or so. First and foremost, please ask your questions throughout this brief. Don't feel that you need to hold them till the end. Please just shoot them our way. Second, the figure on the right of the screen maps the DOD Research and Development Funding Budget Areas, or BAs, to the taxonomies of the Office of Management Budget, OMB, and the National Science Foundation, NSF. For this brief, opportunities we'll be discussing our 6.1 and up to 6.5 budget area and mapped to research and development categories of OMB and NSF. All right, pending any questions, we're going to move on to the next slide. Okay. On the top, I want to highlight the phenomenal opportunities in our great state. For these opportunities, feel free to contact me to get any additional information and also to connect with the lead PI on each one of these. These are for specific opportunities, but obviously there are more building as we see every day with the great work that your fellow Ohioans are doing. The first up at the top is StarLab. Ohio State is leading an effort to train astronauts on this commercially based capability to operate the ground station control lab and train astronauts for the station. As I'm sure many of you have heard, the life of the International Space Station is coming to an end by 2031. And NASA has said that that commercially operated space platforms such as Starlab will replace the International Space Station as a venue for collaboration and scientific research. Second is the National Advanced Air Mobility Center of Excellence out of Springfield, which is just north of Dayton. This Center of Excellence has been a critical partner for Ohio Federal Research Network, or OFRN, since OFRN was founded, and is the home of our wonderful Sky Vision Beyond Visual Line of Sight capability. Fly Ohio also is located at the Center of Excellence, as is Air Force Research Lab activities, including a number of Agility Prime capabilities. Recently, with the support of Jobs Ohio and Fly Ohio, the team at Springfield secured a U.S. government funding grant to further build out this airport's capabilities. So really great opportunity for all Ohioans to do their testing and demonstration down there at Springfield Airport. Third is the Build Back Better Regional Challenge Grant. Although it shares the name of a bill on Capitol Hill, the funding has already been approved and allocated to the Department of Commerce Economic Development Agency as part of the COVID stimulus. One of the projects in the Northeast Ohio down-selected proposal team is connecting industry with academia to accelerate workforce transformation and development, as well as tech transfer in support of industry requirements. And then finally, the Department of Energy funding for regional clean H2 hubs that are intended to make local hydrogen to be used in the region to facilitate green energy initiatives. So again, if you want to connect with any of the PIs or contacts at those, please contact me with any of your with requests, and I will make sure to connect you expeditiously to the right POC. So are there any questions on this slide? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next. All right, so for congressional opportunities, considering funding down the road, there's a massive authorization bill that the U.S. Congress is deliberating on. And first note is that the House and Senate have different names for this bill. Just means that they're going to have to come to conference and resolve the differences between the two bills. You may have heard about this bill from our Ohio congressional delegation during the Intel Ohio announcement, as the USICA, or America Competes Act, includes the CHIPS Act, which would authorize up to $52.7 billion to support the U.S. semiconductor industry, which includes Intel. Some additional bullets in this bill are the massive additional funding for the National Science Foundation, expansion of scientific research and education funding like EPSCoR and STEM K through 12, and then focus on 10 key technologies. So pending any questions, I'll hold one there and we'll move on to the next slide. Again, this is a little bit further down the road, but keep your eye out for a lot of opportunities coming from this. Seeing none, moving to the next slide. All right, so Congress builds authorizations and appropriation bills similar to the U.S. Innovation Competition Act that referenced above, in large part in response to the president's budget, which is submitted to Congress between February and March every year. The president's budget includes congressional justification books from each U.S. department and agency. For the Department of Defense's justification book on research and development, you might sometimes hear it referred to as an R book. In the bullets on the left, I have highlighted the benefits of reviewing these justification books. On the right is an excerpt of the Air Force Research Lab's R book. The budget activity box at the top left of the picture highlights the type of research. In this case, it's budget activity 6.2. And if you go back up to the original, the second slide in this deck, you'd see that maps to applied research. So a great use of identifying what type of research they're looking for. The fiscal year funding lines will let you know how much money or funding would be available for next year's. The R&D typically only goes 1 year out. Acquisition can go much further. But this gives you an idea of how much funding is going to go to that specific program. And then the mission description and future year plans will help you target your proposal and pitch deck to areas that are of interest to the funding organization and strategies that they are leading, thus increasing your chance of winning. And a final point, before developing your proposal, please look at the relevant justification book. It will help you out. All right, moving on to the next slide, unless there's any questions. I'm seeing none. All right. Okay, so how do we help you? Well, let's start on this slide and we'll work our way through. The blue boxes on the left highlight the resources that we have for you in this briefing deck. Again, we'll be posting this slide and the backup slides. That includes clickable links, and those will all be posted on the ohiofrn.org website. On the left are all of the free online courses available via the Parallax Learning Hub, or PLH. The Learning Hub provides training on a large corpus of subjects related to SBIR or STTR. While the training is focused on SBIR and STTR, there are a number of courses that are related to any government opportunities. And of course, this training opportunity, or this training deck, is funded in great cooperation from our wonderful partners at Air Force Research Labs. So some of the additional training that I'd like to highlight that is in just the first module of this is website navigation, including registration on sam.gov. Think of things like, what's a cage code? What's a DUNS number? What's my NAICS code? What's PSC? And the Air Force organization structure, what is RX? If these are all foreign comments, then please go on and take this training. It'll help you better understand what's needed to get past and when. And then there's also proposal writing tips and white paper writing tips. Another great opportunity to learn is about the How Catechism, which was created by an early founder of DARPA, or Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, to really help sell your product and concept. And at the bottom of this page, we have a link to register for this free training. So again, this will be posted on the ohiofrn.org website, and definitely want to help you going forward. All right, moving to the next slide. Okay, so U.S. government business arrangements. This slide provides a general overview of typical U.S. government business arrangement broken into three categories: assistance, contracts, and agreements. On the right is the Department of Defense contracting cone that can be found at the link at the bottom left of this slide. On the Defense Acquisition University linked website below, the cone has clickable links on each segment to go further in detail on each. Going back to the types of arrangements listed in detail on the slide, assistance is generally where the government provides funding with significantly less strings attached, but it's typically early stage research in nature. Contracts have a direct benefit or use for the federal funding agency, and agreements are flexible arrangements that are oftentimes not federal acquisition regulation aligned, which means it opens up a lot more opportunities for you all. So a partnership intermediary agreement, or PIA, is where the government provides a nonprofit funding to increase connection between small businesses or academia with the federal government. An example of PIA is the Academic Partnership Engagement Experiment and also the Wright Brothers Institute. Those are just two that we have in Ohio, and across the United States, there are over 80 PIAs trying to help small business and academia with different departments and agencies of the federal government. An example of an other transaction agreement, they are typically consortia like the Vertical Lift Consortium or the System of Systems Consortia, or SOSEC. There are approximately 33 OTA consortia currently running right now. So pending any questions, we'll move on to specific funding opportunities. All right, seeing none. Okay, so sticking with this slide, the first opportunity that we're going to talk to is SBIR and STTR, which is an annually funded program that has direct funding, meaning it does not compete with other programs for funding and is congressionally directed. SBIR and STTR funds small businesses to conduct concept and prototyping work to foster commercialization of their research. The main difference between SBIR and STTR is that STTR seeks to support tech transition out of academia into small business. For SBIR, Congress typically directs approximately $3.2 billion each year spread across 12 U.S. government agencies. And then for SBIR and STTR opportunities, both can come in grants or contracts. And I'll explain a little bit more on the delineation of that in the next slide. All right. So on this slide, I list the phases of funding for SBIRs and a deeper description of STTR requirements and differences from SBIR. And the chart at the bottom depicts SBIR, STTR announcement timelines across the U.S. Department and agencies, annotates which agencies participate in STTR, as not all of them do, While all of them do participate in SBIR, not all participate in STTR, and which business arrangements each agency uses. At the bottom of the slide is a link where you can find all of the current and future SBIR and STTR solicitations. Moving back to the top, the first phase is a very early technology research level, or TRL funding, to help a company explore their capability and concept. The second phase is intended to develop a prototype of a funded capability. And I'll stop here and highlight that you don't always have to go from phase 1 to phase 2. Sometimes there is a direct to phase 2 opportunity. But the typical funding path is from phase 1 to phase 2, and then moving on to hopefully phase 3, which is a typical phase of SBIR STTR. But it's not. It is highly selective because the government agency is looking to really build up your capability and scale it. It is not funded by SBIR or STTR funding, so as opposed to phase 1 and phase 2, which does get directed funding every single year from Congress, the funding agency actually has to take it out of their own budget. But what phase 3 does, it affords a phase 2 recipient the ability to obtain a sole source contract with the government. Thereby, you don't have to push forward and go through a down selection process if the funding agency identifies the requirement for your capability at full scale production. So some agencies have started creating funding mechanisms that bridge a phase 2 and phase 3. An example of this is Air Force's TACFI and STRATFI, which OFRN funding can count towards the government match requirement of TACFI and STRATFI. One of our funded projects, led by Asymmetric, actually is in the final stages of obtaining their TACFI. I will caveat that is at least per fiscal year 2021's guidelines. That could always change in future years, but for FY21, OFRN funding did count as the government match. All right, moving to the chart, you'll see some agencies use a pre-solicitation to allow potential proposals more time to prepare and interact with government through Q&A sessions. Two caveats on this chart. The dates on these are intended dates and is subject to change. Additionally, special solicitations may also occur, such as in the Army, DARPA, and Air Force. Specifically, SpaceWorks Orbital Prime is a special solicitation. On the next page, I'll briefly discuss and touch on the Department of Air Force, SBIR, and STTR closing and future opportunities in a little more detail. So I'll stop there and wait for any questions. All right, hearing none, move on to the next. So the Department of Air Force includes both the Air Force and the Space Force. It's similar to how the Department of the Navy includes both the Navy and Marine Corps. On this slide, you'll see the first prime opportunity that the recently established SpaceWorks has released. SpaceWorks is the Space Force twin, for lack of a better term, of AFWorks. And Orbital Prime is similar in function to Agility Prime, but for space requirements, where Agility Prime was for AAM-related requirements. As you can see on this slide, the SpaceWorks opportunity has a different closing date than the other two. That's because it's one of those special solicitations that I mentioned above in the prior slide. The other two opportunities are in-cycle opportunities that close with the other DOD SBIR STTRs. So there is very much a routinized schedule, and the government does try to abide by that, but sometimes they slip. The next DOD and Department of Air Force opportunity for SBIR and STTR will be pre-released in late April and due in mid-June. Again, the pre-release allows you more time to communicate with potential proposers and the government, which we strongly urge you to do. If you'd like more information on SBIR and STTR, please, again, go to that Parallax Learning Hub and take the free training that we discussed earlier in this brief. Moving to the next slide. Okay, and as you may remember from Karen's brief, to be sure, the funding from OFRN helps secure additional funding from SBIR. That you'll see noted on the left. Of note, we have not listed teams that have proposed to OFRN but were not selected for OFRN funding. but then turned their OFRN proposal into a SBIR or STTR proposal and won an award. Or more succinctly, they used basically their same proposal to then go win funding from another source. There are a number of examples of teams that have done this. So we really would like to help you do that as well if you did not receive OFRN funding, because there were plenty of good proposals. There just was only X amount of money to provide funding for X amount of proposals. We really do want to help and fund more. So on the right, again, we want to highlight that the state of Ohio is doing great with Air Force awards, trailing only behind California in both number and funding amount for the Agility Prime STTR awards. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Okay, so the government uses BAAs to fund research and development for general requirements. Of note, some BAAs are released as both contracts and grant opportunities, and sometimes as both. This is just a real quick reframing slide to talk about how the BAA business arrangements are set up. All right, and now to go more deeper into the BAAs and the specific categories of open, closed, and calls. Open is a wide open accepting some version of a proposal at any time throughout the life of the BAA. It's very important to contact the government technical POC listed on the BAA prior to submitting a proposal to an open BAA. Certainly, it is useful to contact the technical POC prior to any submission, as long as it's legally authorized. And talk to your contracting folks to make sure that you're in the right when doing them. So, but for BAAs, this engagement is critical. This engagement helps you home in on what the government is looking for and what it will fund. Some agencies like DARPA are starting to host standard meetings between organizations and government PMs to increase efficiency and effectiveness of this government communication process. And it's important to communicate with the government PMs at DARPA if you expect to get a DARPA award. One point of note on the Air Force Research Lab, they have started using the Air Force Tech Connect site to connect potential proposers to government technical points of contact. The link for Air Force Tech Connect is at the bottom of the slide. And then moving to closed BAs, they have specific deadlines for proposals. Sometimes this could be a single deadline, sometimes multiple throughout the BAA. And then moving to calls are based off of a chapeau BAA that includes a provision that states special notices or calls will be issued separately from, but in accordance with, the parameters of the chapeau BAA. All right, moving to the right side of the page, it describes a delineation between a one-step and a two-step BA. Or more succinctly, a two-step request to white paper or concept papers prior to a final proposal, and a one-step just request a final proposal. Some minor notes across the BAAs: always ask for feedback from the government on your proposal when you won or lost or were down selected or not. Timelines for BAAs vary, both in release structure, but also in timeline between submission to award. So some agencies do this fast, some do it slow. That's just the nature of the government. Again, some BAAs are released as both a contract and a grant opportunity. With these dual released solicitations, engaging the government technical point of contact will help you understand which type to submit to. At the bottom of this page, we have included links where you can find BAAs. For example, the NASA Inspires that Dr. Leckie referenced. All government contract opportunities have some level of information on SAM.gov. Some government agencies like NASA and Department of Energy include more information and documents on their home sites that are not uploaded to SAM.gov. So definitely look at SAM.gov to help, but there definitely are other areas to find additional information. One final note before I move on: OFRN is here to help, so please do not hesitate to contact us with follow-up questions on this content. All right, moving on to the specific opportunities. All right. Okay, yes, this list of 120 is overbearing and completely unreadable. And by the way, that was whittled down from over 240 opportunities that had some relevance to the work you all do and associated with the topics of today, of digital engineering, sensors and electronics, and advanced manufacturing materials. Of this 120, we'll be going over 13 in detail. So, of course, again, I want to highlight, please feel free to ask questions throughout this brief. Definitely want to help you better understand so that you have a leg up and build strong proposals for winning opportunities. So the first opportunity that we're going to talk to is perfect for Ohio with the announcement of Intel in Ohio. And that is the JUMP, or Joint University Microelectronics Research Centers. But before I dive into the opportunity, I want to orient you to the slide template. At the top of this slide is the opportunity name. Below that in gray is the notice ID. To the left, or later right, of the notice ID, we have annotated the topic area of today that the opportunity aligns to. Directly below that is the general description of the opportunity. In the bottom left box, we have procurement status that includes the release date, due date if one exists, solicitation approach, and award information. In the bottom right, we have contact information for the solicitation and link to the solicitation. All right, so I'm going to jump into the JUMP 2.0. So JUMP 2.0 can give Ohio academic institutions the funding to lead cutting-edge research in semiconductor industry, specifically on the hardware side. This funding opportunity is an example of an other transaction agreement that I referenced earlier, where the Semiconductor Research Corporation, or SRC, consortia will be conducting the contracting, but working with DARPA. JUMP 2.0 seeks to fund 7 centers aligned with the 7 systems and technology themes that you see at the bottom of the description box under centers. So those themes, the next generation AI systems and architectures is the description for cognition. For communications and connectivity, they're looking for efficient communication technologies for ICT systems. For intelligence sensing to action is sensing capabilities and embedded intelligence that enable fast and efficient generation to action. For systems and architecture for distributed compute, they're looking for distributed computing systems and architectures in an energy-efficient compute and accelerator fabric. For intelligent memory and storage, emerging memory devices and memory arrays for intelligent memory systems is what they're looking for. And then moving on to the technology side, for advanced monolithic and heterogeneous integration, they're looking for novel electric and photonic interconnect fabrics and advanced packaging. A nod to our friends at Smart Microelectronics up at Lorraine Community College. Hopefully you all can meet with Matt Panius, the executive director of that organization, maybe discuss this in more detail. And the last is the high performance, energy efficient devices for digital and analog applications. They're looking for novel material devices and interconnect technologies to enable next generation digital and analog applications. So to discuss this opportunity in more length, we'll ask that, and after this brief, you go to the sensors and electronic booth, and there is a table just for this opportunity because we do see a lot of great benefit and potential on this one for our state. Okay, we have a question. Yep, and to answer your question, Andrew, yeah, we will be posting the overall opportunity list on the ohiofrn.org website in the future. All right, now we'll move to the next slide. Okay, so the NASA Innovative Advanced Concepts, or NIAC, is looking to fund very early and groundbreaking research which would support NASA missions that are 10 to 20 years away. So this is really long road, early stage research. The NIAC is a 3-phase program, which is similar to SBIR and STTR, and down selects from phase 1 to phase 3 to from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3, similar to SBIR. The areas of interest or thrust are very broad and change every year, but always require the same concept that you have a clear potential impact in transforming NASA missions. So it has to be groundbreaking and truly game-changing. The phase 1 solicitation is typically released in early June, which means now is a great time to start building a concept. I wouldn't be surprised if a well-developed quantum communications capability would be of interest, a nod to Dr. Leckie and the NASA Quantum Comms team. One particular note of funding and why its reviewing congressional justification book is important. NASA noted in their justification book to Congress that the NASA plans to increase funding to the NIAC program. So look for more opportunities to rise out of this program. All right. And again, feel free to ask questions throughout this on the specific opportunities. Moving to the next. Okay. So next, and sticking with the space theme, is Air Force Research Laboratory's STAR BAA. This is a fairly broad opportunity and has seen a significant number of awards since its release last year. The TRL focus of the BAA is very much aligned with OFRN funding, and I know a number of teams that submitted to Round 5 that had space-based or space-related proposals. So this could be a great opportunity to reframe your OFRN proposal to AFRL. As noted in the BAA framing slide, this is an open BA with a white paper first step, and it's important to contact the technical POC before submitting your white paper. We have 2 technical points of contact listed in this slide, but we also strongly recommend that you use the Air Force Tech Connect site, which is linked on this slide. As a first step, you'll need to identify and verify your concept of technology aligns with the 4 thrusts listed on the slide, and then contact the technical points of contact or the Air Force Tech Connect. All right, moving to the next slide. All right, the next is the Government Requirement for Advanced Power and Energy, or GRAPE BAA, out of AFRL. GRAPE is aligned with Materials and Manufacturing Directorate, or RX, what I referenced earlier today, and is seeking to develop new power generation and energy efficiency technologies for aviation, expeditionary activities, think tents, ad hoc airfields, etc., installations, and ground support. As the Department of Defense moves to a distributed concept of operation for military planning, having resilient power systems that can be transported quickly in all conditions, especially island environments, will become a significant requirement. So this opportunity is certainly going to grow. The BA is unique as it has multiple types of BAs or categories, including open, 2-step, as well as calls. Since the release of the solicitation in 2021, AFRL has already allocated most of the budgeted $9.8 million, but as you'll see down below, and what we found in the congressional justification books, they have funding forecasted out to FY25. So the time to start communicating with the technical point of contact is now to help position yourself for potential opportunities in FY23. So pending any questions, we'll move on to the next opportunity. Hearing none, seeing none. All right, so this is the long-range BAA of the Department of Homeland Security, and it has topics that are constantly changing, but focus on 6 priority areas, which you see at the bottom of the description box. I did not underline these, but I'll be going over them. So the first is securing aviation, and the current subtopics that they're interested in are enhanced contact and non-contact trace explosive sampling and detection. So sensors, check baggage. How do they do it more efficiently and effectively? Explosive and ballistic threat mitigation, and airport screening at speed. So would be great if one of you all helped us all get through TSA quicker. And then the next is securing borders, including non-invasive, minimally disruptive sensors and systems. Think of unintended sensors along the border, air-based technologies like unmanned aerial systems, and countering unmanned aerial systems. And there's maritime domain awareness. So think about the stopping drugs coming across the Gulf of Mexico. And then biometric technologies for extending, augmenting, or improving DHS identity and verification capabilities. The next main topic is securing cyberspace, and they only have one specific interest item right now, which is mobile security and resiliency R&D. Next main topic is preventing terrorism, which includes detection canine technologies, prevention, diagnosis, and mitigation of transboundary agricultural pests and diseases. And then finally is the managing incidents, which includes technology acceptance and using Internet of Things for community and infrastructure resiliency against all hazards. So moving to the bottom right, similar to the Air Force Tech Connect, DHS has set up a system to submit requests to engage with the technical point of contact. We have provided a link to that site on the slide. Next, so pending any questions, we'll move to the Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division, Wolf Airborne Systems Integration Division, BA. All right, seeing none? Okay, so this BAA is Navy's UAS Sensors and Integration BAA, as well as other general sensors and electronics BAA. As you can see in the second paragraph of the description, the Navy, sorry about that, the Navy is looking for capabilities beyond just sensors. They're also looking for digital engineering requirements and data to support their sensors requirements, as Dr. Greg mentioned earlier today, creating that models and simulation capability to better increase the collaboration and speed at which we develop. So the Navy is a tough nut to crack, but it's well worth it. I say this because much of the geopolitical strategic focus of the Department of Defense is on areas where the Navy has primacy. So pending any questions, we'll move to the next BAA. Seeing none. Okay, so the Lunar Surface Technology Research, or LUSTR program of NASA, focuses on the next stage of technology readiness from the NIAC program that I referenced earlier. Where the NIAC program is looking 10 to 20 years out, LUSTR wants to make and see concepts that increase technology readiness and be ready for operations much sooner, to support landing the first Woman on the Moon program. Similar to the NIAC, LUSTR announcement of this year has not posted, but in the National Congressional Justification Book, again, NASA noted that additional funding would be allotted to LUSTR for fiscal year 22. But unlike NIAC, LUSTR is not a phased program. There is only one type of award, which is between $1 and $2 million. Also, unlike the NIAC, which is generally wide open, LUSTR is focused on capabilities applicable to lunar surface and within one of the Lunar Surface Innovation Initiatives, or LSII, focus areas, which are listed at the bottom of the description box on the slide. A highlight of the LUSTR for our state is Ohio State received one of the inaugural LUSTR awards last year. And Ohio State, for an example of what NASA is looking for in terms of capability is and level of readiness, is exploring flexible energy distribution between multiple micro power grids using solar, radioisotope, and battery sources, which will create and demonstrate a modular DC energy router that can function as a power flow controller, but also as an intelligent circuit breaker, thus realizing interconnections and power flow optimizers between multiple lunar surface power systems. Or, in layman's terms, they're taking multiple types of power sources, power generation capabilities, and then flowing it through a single circuit breaker to then power equipment. So one LSII area of interest that is applicable to major Ohio strength is manufacturing. The excavation and construction focus area includes technologies that enable affordable, robust, autonomous manufacturing, i.e. advanced manufacturing and construction on lunar surface. So without further ado, and if there's no more questions, we'll move on to the rest of the advanced manufacturing and materials opportunities. All right. Skipped over one accidentally. So this one is a pending opportunity that Department of Energy is looking to establish a new manufacturing center, one for electrification of industrial processes and decarbonization of metal manufacturing. For those that know the DOE manufacturing program, these centers are massive undertakings and require significant industry partnerships and cost share. Highlight that Case Western and Isaacs, led by Nick Barrett and Dr. Leparo, won a subgrant from the Smart Manufacturing Innovation Center, which is part of the DOE Manufacturing Center last year. One thing, these manufacturing centers always lead to additional opportunities and create national centers of excellence and preeminence. So great opportunity if somebody wanted to take this on and lead for our state. Well, the request for information related to this opportunity closed in November, and they held their proposer day in late November. The DOE has not announced when they will release the official RFP. Although there is funding already approved for the center in a decent amount, to be sure, building a team for this opportunity would be hard work, but it's a great opportunity and capability for Ohio's manufacturing base. Pending any questions, so we'll move to the next slide. All right. So the DOE, or Department of Energy, recently released the Advanced Manufacturing Technical Partnerships opportunity. The topics are demonstration of advanced technologies and renewable supplied energy, or district energy, or DE, system that will reduce carbon emissions, and a pilot program for regional innovation to accelerate the uptake of smart manufacturing technologies integrated with systemic energy management practices to improve manufacturing energy efficiency and develop a highly skilled manufacturing workforce. With the requirement for a full proposal, this is a one-step, by March 18, this is a fast approaching deadline and aggressive. All right, pending any questions, we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, so next is the DOD Manufacturing Technology, or ManTech program. The DOD ManTech program has an annual funding allotted to all of the military departments, that is Army, Navy, and Air Force, as well as the Defense Logistics Agency, or DLA. The program seeks to bridge between DOD science and technology research and the DOD acquisition pipeline by funding integrated multidisciplinary teams of academia and industry who are developing system engineering approaches to manufacturing requirements. In the bottom right, we have listed each of the ManTech funded DOD components, R&D, BAA. The most important takeaway from the slide and program is that the program wants to fund projects that will transition research from the research stage into the supply chain, and projects as well that support the supply chain in the U.S. The differing requirements and specific interests of each military department are so broad that the briefing on this program would be its own session. One point of note, the DLA has a specific BA funded by ManTech for battery and battery-related technology. That was the BATNet that we sent out in the SurveyMonkey or late last week. Up next is AFRL Structural Material BAA. Pending any questions? Seeing none. So this BA is truly wide open. If you have a concept, technology, or research that is applicable to materials, this BA is probably worth your time to just review. After reviewing the BA, but before creating white paper, it's strongly encouraged to have a discussion with the technical point of contact to verify your concept is something of interest at that time and that there's funding available. Again, the most effective way to facilitate that discussion with the technical point of contact is through the Air Force Tech Connect website, which we have linked again here. You can always contact the technical POC, but Air Force is definitely moving to the more enterprise management function of Air Force Tech Connect. So moving on, pending any questions, we'll move on to the final BA for today. And that is the DLA BA for Emergent Research, or Emergent 3. This BA is a standing BA that DLA keeps open in case they have any emerging requirements that don't align with one of their ongoing programs. Due to the emergent nature of this BA, the areas of interest are wide open. Again, this is another BA in which it's important to contact the technical point of contact to determine if your concept is of interest at that time and meets their requirements. Of note, DLA always includes funding for their emergent requirements in their congressional justification book. So this continues to get funded year after year. All right, and that concludes the deep dive opportunity listing for today. So we'll move over into the how we can help you. So the first is with Ohio Federal Research Network. We definitely want to continue to identify opportunities that are of interest to you and are solid. So please let us know if this list was of use to you and will help you. Please let us know if you need help to go after any of these, and if you are planning to go after them. We definitely want to track your success and highlight your successes and see what we can do to help. On that, we will want to, if you have teams or if you're looking for building out a team or looking to join a team, we want to help you with that. And then finally on OFRN, we want to help you lead a proposal. So contact us if there's something that you think you need to help lead, or if you want us to help be an integrator of your team. Next down is Apex. They are there to help with Air Force, FBIR, and STTR support. And especially with online training to help you prepare with your SBIR, STTR proposal, and finding teammates and cover gaps that you may have. Finally, there are a plethora of resources to support small businesses here in Ohio, some of which we have listed on the slide here, but of course there are more. Again, I'll highlight our good friends at WBI and OAI, who are phenomenal supporters of academia and industry and the Air Force and the small business programs. All right. So if there are any questions, I'll stop here for one. All right, move into the next. So this slide is a list of links to help you efficiently navigate the maze of government contract opportunities. Of course, it's a fairly exhaustive list, so it is in itself a maze. At this point, we'll be deploying a poll. So please take the next minute to answer the questions in that poll. This poll will help us improve these questions to better support you all. All right. I think we have one quick question. Is where can we find the slides for this presentation? They will be posted on the ohiofrn.org website. Again, that is ohiofrn.org. They're not yet there, but they will be in the coming day or two.
And Matt, if we could, we're also going to send them out to all participants today as well. anybody that registered.
Yeah. All right. So again, for that poll, if you just go up to your feed in the top right and click feed, it will take you to the poll. And please take the time to answer those questions. It would be extremely valuable for all of us to help and make sure that we are targeting the right opportunities that are of interest to you. All right, moving on to the next, and I think most important, which is the boost for your all conversations to go after and win opportunities. So we'll have two booths with tables inside of the booth. The booths are advanced manufacturing materials as well as sensors and electronics. We have phenomenal volunteers, as Karen identified in her brief, that will help get the conversation going in the booths. And our volunteers are all on the OFRN Technical Review Committee. They include Dr. Joyce Harris, and Bill Mahoney, Scott Peterson, Matthew Miller, Jeff Banker, Matthew Apanius, Marty Kress, and of course, Major General Retired Mark Bartman from our very own Ohio National Guard. While the volunteers are there to help get the conversation going, we are hoping that you all take the reins and build teams and concepts that lead to proposals and wins. So again, I can't thank you enough for your attendance, and we definitely want to help you win and go after proposals. So contact us. We are here to help, and let us know what you need from us. And without further ado, I will turn it back over to Karen, and definitely urge you all to go to the booths and spend some time further networking. And the booths can be found if you exit the session and then at the top of your navigation bar and click booths. So
thank you so much, Matt. That was really appreciate you going through each of those opportunities. Very informative. I really hope everyone, thank you so much everyone for attending. This was outstanding. Really love all the attendance. The booths, this is really where we take all this great information and take it to the next level, right? So please attend the booths. Let's really, as we look at advanced manufacturing and sensors and electronics, great opportunity to take these opportunities and start collaborating with others to see how you guys can take next steps on these opportunities. We've got facilitators there as well. So, and please don't forget to finish up the polls, and that helps guide us, as Matt mentioned. So we'll see you in the booths. Thank you so much.
Bye.